didn't really touch my bike at all for a month.
Okay.
Or longer. Honestly, I was trying not to cry. There's people that love to throw it all on the line, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and that's just in qualifying. It's a hard one. Like, I don't want to talk bad about it, but at the same time, like, we had that same frame since 2020. You're throwing everything at it and just everything's feeling wrong. I was like, please give me this new bike. Just the feeling of having a new bike that I knew was going to be quicker. It just gave me so much more like lift. It felt like cheating. Not going to lie. I'm not getting any younger and there's more fast kids coming into elite men's. It's going to be tough. Yeah, no, not dad bod yet. I think I'm close.
Troy Brosnan, welcome back to the Downtime Podcast, mate. Thanks for joining us once again. We're here at Windrock, Tennessee, just after the National. And you guys were here testing the week before, right, with SRAM?
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit of insight into like what a test week looks like for you? Like what kind of stuff you were working on?
Yeah, I mean, a test week there's a lot that goes on. There's not just one simple thing. Obviously, we're here with SRAM, trying to work on the suspension mainly. So, yeah, trying to get the tune, into the right window that I feel comfortable with. Not so much, the fastest or the slowest, but somewhere that I'm really comfortable, and then I can kind of start pushing from there. So yeah, just fork tune and rear shock, making sure we're on the right spring rate. I've actually gone up spring rate just a little bit since last year.
Okay.
Even though I won Mont-Saint-Anne on that spring rate from last year, we've gone up a bit. So
have you put on muscle or
nothing? No.
Is it dad bod or?
Yeah, no, not dad bod yet. I think I'm close, but no, I'm the same weight, same everything.
Okay.
But I was just riding really deep last year.
Yeah.
And I think that was something we missed just a tiny bit.
Okay.
But I also prefer to have it a bit softer in the back and kind of ride with the back doing most of the work instead of myself. So yeah, just playing with that, but it helps me kind of turn the bike a little bit better and easier on the flat kind of corners with the spring rate we have now. And then that just changes what tune we kind of have in the shock.
Okay, interesting. And how are you riding when you're testing? Like, obviously you need to push to a point where you're getting the bike close to performing at a World Cup level, but you've also got, I guess, some level of trying not to like implode and cause injuries pre-season. Like, how are you trying to manage that?
Yeah, it's tough. Like, a lot of us can say, oh, you can do testing at 80, 85%, but realistically anything under 90% is not worth it, because from 90, 95 to especially 100%, your bike and the speeds and things change. You take things differently, and you might ride smoother at 100% than you do at 90% because you're skimming over stuff better. So for me with testing, I try and go in the range of 90 to 95%, which is pretty high. But I also have to be like feeling really confident on the track and happy with the lines and the knowledge of the track. So it was a little bit tough here. I came in and was testing straight away and didn't really know the track super well. So I was definitely a little bit, further away from where I wanted to be. But that's when we just chose to do the spring rate stuff and kind of get the really good base, I guess, like set up with all the tunes and it kind of, it just ticked all the boxes that we needed, really.
And what feedback are you using? Like, I guess you've got data to choose from, time or feel. Like, how do those three things play together for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have data on the bike. It kind of just mirrors what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. And hopefully we're both on the same page.
Yeah.
You never know what a computer throws out to what a human thinks or feels. But that's one thing I think is better for the mechanic and the engineers to really sort out. But for myself, I like to go on feeling. Like, I would, if I had a choice, I would do testing just on feeling. I mean, I've been doing it long enough to know what the feeling is that's going to be fast. So yeah, it's there's lots of things that you can take, and sometimes you can take too many and get in a bit of a spiral spinning death of the the wheel that when you're trying to load a picture or something, it just keeps turning. So you got to take a little bit here and there and just kind of commit to one thing.
Fair. And the race this weekend, like, how was that from your perspective? Because the conditions it was basically a World Cup, right? Like, practice was kind of good, and then everything changed just in time for race runs. Yeah,
I mean, it's like a classic World Cup this weekend. Let's be honest, it was perfect weather for the first 2 days, and then we get heavy rain, the night before race, and kind of on and off during race day. So things changed a lot. At least we got to do some riding in the wet, so it wasn't just like a blind race run. But yeah, it was good. I felt really kind of consistent on the weekend. Like, I was fast, second place in qualifying in the dry, and then third place in the wet on the race run. So, excuse me. So I think my whole weekend was really good. Like, obviously I didn't win or come away on the top spot, but all in all, I'm really happy with being, fast in both aspects of that, and that's something to take away from it. It means that I believe it means that I'm in a really good spot where I am with the bike and the settings and how everything's going, and also my speed. So yeah, I think it's a good stepping stone before the World Cup starts.
For sure, yeah, good place to be.
Stash Space Rails is the ultimate way to store your bikes. You can get more bikes into less space. It's really easy to fit, it's really easy to use, get to whatever bike you want exactly when you need it. Downtime viewers get 10% off their entire order by heading to stashproducts.co.uk/downtime and using the code downtime, all in capitals, at the checkout. Upgrade your bike storage today.
And bikes are getting better, right? Riders are getting better prepared every year. Tracks are arguably getting maybe a little less tight and technical and faster. And so that 95% that you're riding at in testing and maybe in pre-season races is probably quite a lot faster than the 95% race run a couple of years ago. Like, how do you think about that in the way that downhill is accelerating and trying to manage risk? Because we've got a bigger season this year, more races, like consistency, which is something you've been very good at in the past, is going to become, I think, more and more, even more important.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. There's going to be that consistency part of it, and maybe more than ever now that there's no protection when we're going into these races. There's people that love to throw it all on the line, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and that's just in qualifying. So yeah, it'll be tough. But all in all, normally the fastest rider, whether they have some good races or bad races, it kind of works itself out. And if you are riding fast, you're normally pretty much there towards the end of the season. But yeah, it's been tough these last few years with the changes that they've implemented on the World Cups. But I don't know. I think this year's going to throw some spanners into the works for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. And we're talking about level of risk and things like that. You entered Hardline Tasmania for the first time this year.
Yeah.
Was that a hard decision in the first place when the invite comes? Is that an easy yes, or is it one you have to think about?
Well, I got invited the first year.
Okay.
And I said no.
Yeah.
And then I saw not how easy it was, but how doable that course was. And I was there. I was there. I watched it. And all the boys were saying oh, dude, you'd love it so much. And then, yeah, this year rolls around and I get the call up again. And I was like, oh, God, I really didn't want to do it. But I went, all right, let's have a go. And I can pull out if I really need to or I just can't do the jumps. So yeah, get there and walk the track, and I was pretty scared, but I think I just tried to block it out. The jumps, when you walk it and all, you're like, I shouldn't be going off of this on a bike. It just doesn't look like it should be done. But yeah, there I was the next day trying to hit all the features with everyone and getting over it, getting pulled in by Connor, which was pretty amazing. It was helpful that he did it the year before and he could drag me in and kind of gauge the speed pretty well. So yeah, I pretty much trusted my life with him.
Yeah.
And he led me the right way. And yeah, that turned into a great weekend and somehow landed on the podium in the end. So yeah, I wasn't really expecting to do a result. I was just there to actually do big jumps, and it's something that I don't like feel confident doing is huge jumps.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of like stepping out of my comfort zone massively, and it was good in the end. I really enjoyed it. Like flying over massive gaps like that is thrilling. It's awesome. So yeah, I don't think I don't know. I don't think I want to go out and try and build huge jumps myself, but you know, I'd be happy to do hardline, like especially at Medina every year. Like it's fun.
Interesting. I remember watching your video of your like first run through the big jumps at the bottom, and you like could visually see your hands shaking after that. Like it's mad to see you guys feeling like the way we do when we ride normal stuff. Like it's kind of cool to see. Yeah, for sure. Like everyone feels the same feelings. We're all human. Whether it's a small jump or a big jump, like working up to something like that is scary, and it's a process. And the one thing that I told myself before like heading to hardline was like, you get one practice run into a jump and that's it. You have to hit it after that. Like if you don't hit it the first time, it's the second time. Otherwise I will just break and it will just become like second nature to break. Yeah.
I'll figure out how late I can break before I hit the jump. That's like not what you need to do. So I stuck to it, and I think it got me through, because there was a couple times where I was like, I did one run into it and was like, nah, I braked and didn't do it, and then went back up there and I was like, well, this is it. Like I told myself I'm going to keep that promise and let's do it, and yeah, it worked. So
good on you. Yeah. What if the Hardline Wales invite rolls around? That's a different decision to be made, right?
It's already happened. I've had Rob hit me up. I mean, Wales looks different. Yeah. Like, you know, differently built. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a bit harder, like technical wise on the jumps, a bit steeper, a bit kickier maybe.
Yeah.
But for me, being mid-season and like right in the crux of it, and also a time when I can come home, it's kind of like, it's not going to happen, unfortunately.
Fair.
So yeah, it's in a bit of a hard time for me. You know, I only get a couple of times this year to go home from World Cups, and that's smack bang in the big break. So it's going to be really hard to go back to Oz and then have to come back to Europe just for that race and come back again. It's just, there's already too much traveling.
Yeah, fair. So good reasons.
We'll stick to Tassie for now.
Yeah, all right, good stuff. Let's take it back a little bit to 2023, which was your last season on the Generation 2 sender. And by your high standards, maybe not the best season. Like there was some good results in there, but we're so used to seeing you on the upper steps of podiums that talk us through it from your perspective. Do you feel that's a fair summary?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was tough. I did a lot of training, felt really fit. I did ride my downhill bike a lot. But yeah, just had a tough season. Really found it hard to find the speed, attacking, throwing everything at it, having, you know, weird mistakes in my run because I was trying so hard. It just wasn't me. And I think, I don't know, there could be a bunch of things that go on with that, but I mean, it's a hard one. Like, I don't want to talk bad about it, but at the same time, like, we had that same frame since 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was quite an old bike at that point, right?
It was an old bike, and I feel like we're at the point where we really kind of needed this new bike that we have now that year.
Yeah, okay.
That would have changed a lot of things. Obviously, we saw that happen in 2024 with both Luke and myself really stepping it up. And I don't think it's anything that Canyon has done wrong. Like, it's just every company now is developing new stuff so quickly that it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, and the sport's changing pretty quickly as well, right?
Yeah, the sport's gone from being steep, tight, technical stuff to flat out, straight, wide open.
Yeah.
You know? So it's completely evolved over these last like 4 years, realistically. Not even 5 to 10. But I feel like we just had got that bike to its limit.
Yeah.
That was
with that many seasons, that's fair enough. Yeah. And at what point had you swung your leg over the Generation 3 then? Because you were involved in the testing of some of the mule stuff and the early phase bits.
Yeah, so we did the mule stuff end of 22. I was on that mule.
Okay.
So early, but we didn't actually get the proper like race bike that we have now till I think it was almost January 24.
Okay.
Like I was like begging for it at that stage.
Because like when you've ridden the mule and you've done that work, and obviously I guess you're helping them get that bike in a better place than the one you're currently on.
Yeah.
Is it hard for you to know that there's something there that you've had the chance to ride and is better, but you can't quite have it yet? Like,
yeah, for sure. I mean, like all 23 seasons, especially when my races weren't going as I would like, I was like, please give me this new bike. But it just wasn't ready. You know, that's just the name of the game, especially after COVID. Things have just been backlogged massively, and it's hard to get things through. So yeah, it was tough and difficult to go through that season. But in the back of my mind, I just knew that something great was coming, and I don't know if that really. That's some heavy rain.
That is some heavy rain. Yeah.
It's still raining here in Windrock. Yeah, I don't know if that was like maybe playing with my head as well, knowing that I have got this new bike that is going to be better, but I'm like still kind of doing this season on a bike that is at its absolute limit. You know, I still brought it to a podium or two, I think, and a pretty good world champs, but yeah, it's hard when you know there's something better in the pipeline, but you just can't ride it yet. But no, it's now that we've got it. Obviously, we've shown all last season how fast it can be, and already this year, especially just here at this race, the girls absolutely dominated.
Yeah, and you got that Gen 3, like you say, fairly late, I guess, in the start of the 24 season. How did you approach getting up to speed on it? I guess you had some experience on the pre-prototype versions, but when you got that one, like, what was the plan for you guys to get it up to race pace, ready for the first round?
Yeah, I mean, we got it a little bit later than we'd hoped, obviously. You want to get it bang after the season, going into the next one in October, but just how it all fell and came to Australia, that was the time we got it. So we just went through all the different linkage positions, like the progression rates, everything, and just tried it all. And it took a long time, because I guess you try one and then you really don't have a reference. So it's hard to like come back to something that you're like, oh yeah, I like that, when you're trying, linear versus progressive versus high bottom bracket, low bottom bracket, and headset cups and everything. You're throwing everything at it, and just everything's feeling wrong, or like foreign, I would say. Not wrong, but foreign. So yeah, we kind of got to a point where we stuck with just one setting. I rode that for a few weeks on end, and then started kind of changing and coming back to that setting. And then if we liked it, then maybe we would make that our new kind of like base.
Okay.
So pretty much, we only just got everything dialed prior to the first World Cup, where we wanted, it in the progressive setting, higher bottom bracket. And at the same time that we got this new bike, we got the flight attendant from RockShox. So there was a lot going on in the one-off season in a short amount of time. I think we got the flight attendant and the new bike pretty much at the exact same time. So it was like trying to learn new fork internals, rear shock internals, everything, electric buttons, like, yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, rolling into the first World Cup, I didn't really know what to expect, but I just knew that this bike, I was faster on this bike. We did some testing at home on my test track that I use a lot, and I can put the poles in the exact same spot, and I was faster.
By how much, roughly?
Not much. It was about half a second to a second.
Over, what we're talking, a minute, 2 minutes?
Just under 2 minutes.
Okay.
So pretty short, but when you talk about a second over a minute is a lot.
Yeah.
So huge. A second over 2 minutes is a bit, So yeah, that was a pretty good indication that I was like on pace, and that was like not right before the first World Cup. That was like a little bit early on in testing. So I obviously got faster from there as well. Did some races at home, obviously, as well, which gave me a bit of confidence. But just the feeling of having a new bike that I knew was going to be quicker, it just gave me so much more like lift, and like I wanted to ride my downhill bike so much. I was not really keen on riding the old one too much, especially when I got my hands on the new one. Like sometimes you get the new bike and you go back to the old one to kind of see what's different, and kind of I was like, I don't want to touch that one. I'm sorry Canyon, but I'm just happy with this new one. So and that's just life. Everything progresses and gets better, as we've seen with absolutely everything in the world.
Yeah.
It always gets better, and people can make things go faster. So yeah, it was pretty cool actually coming to the first World Cup and having those results, getting a podium with Luca. There was kind of just like big check of the box, like, yep, this bike's fast.
100%. Like everyone could see, and I'm sure Canyon were very glad. Like you, Tani, and Luca all noticeably kind of took a step up from where you were at the end of the previous season, which has got to be a good thing. There was a lot of talk about flight attendant that weekend, and has been ever since, I guess. But like, do you feel that it makes much difference on a track like that? I guess if anywhere, Fort William motorway section is probably quite a good place to have it. Yeah,
for sure. So Fort William, I was running it out the start gate for a fairly long way, like all the way pretty much out the gate. You do the first kind of little right, little hip, left, right-hander, you jump over a little creek, and then I'd kind of turn it off before those corners.
Okay, yeah.
So that was a good, 10 seconds plus maybe at the start.
Probably, yeah.
And then, the whole motorway, like absolutely just the whole motorway, it felt like cheating, not going to lie.
Okay.
It just completely made the bike feel like a BMX bike. Like you could pump it way better. The suspension obviously is getting so much stiffer, which would just allow you to attack the jumps and really pump and hold speed. So a perfect track for that flight attendant is Fort William for sure. And I think that's what helped the results that weekend, having a brand new bike that could take all the rough stuff in between, but then also having the flight attendant that would just turn it into a BMX bike would just evaluate. And I guess that showed that it was the specialized guys that have the similar thing and us guys that were, on the podium that weekend. Yeah. So it was pretty much, I think a lot of people were scratching their heads going, shit, I need some form of lockout.
Definitely. So how would you describe the characteristics of the new bike compared to the old bike? Like what's different? Because it looks a bit different, but not crazy different. But I think to ride, as we've experienced today, it's a pretty different beast.
Yeah, for sure. It's a completely different beast. Obviously there's a lot going on. But you can take it from anywhere. The weight's in a better position. Where the linkage is a lot lower around the bottom bracket. The rearward axle path is a lot longer. It grows a lot more, so everything just kind of gets out the way a lot easier. The suppleness to it, it's a bike that it feels really lively to ride, but it can just eat up the rough stuff. Where I felt like the old bike was pretty nice on like pretty lively and pretty nice on medium tracks, but as soon as it got really, really rough, like your outer soles, the bike would just be limited. Like, the wheel would just catch and it would get more hung up, which was good for pumping. But the new bike just kind of like, it feels like it doesn't get hung up over the bumps. It just keeps plowing through and just keeps going. So yeah, we played a lot with especially the mule, trying to find the perfect balance of keeping a bike that can still pump really well and then having a bike that can just eat big bumps. And obviously tracks are getting faster and pretty rough in a straight line. So yeah, trying to marry those two things together was difficult, but I feel like honestly I wouldn't change the formula that we've got right now.
Yeah. And do you find, obviously with the wheelbase growing with that rearwards axle path as you go through the travel, do you find that you benefit from that kind of additional stability and length in the bike in those situations?
I would say so, yeah, for sure in those situations. It always has its downfall, in a straight line or slightly turning. When it gets really rough and chundery, it feels really good. But when you get into a bit of a tighter corner, that has like a compression, it just grows and you're trying to whip around as fast as you can, but the bike's just still growing on you. So obviously, like I said previously, the tracks are gone away from the tight, technical, steep sections to way faster, open, flat out sections. So that's where the bikes are going these days, and we can see every bike these days have either got an idler or a rear wheel that grows freaking 50% or something crazy.
Yeah, definitely. And you've got lower pedal kickback, I think, on the Gen 3 version of the bike.
Yeah.
And you've been playing with like O-chain devices and things like that on the previous. Have you carried that over, or are you running without now?
Yeah, so we did try O-chain and not O-chain on this bike, but I feel like it's pretty much where it is without an O-chain is similar to the old generation with an O-chain. And I kind of feel like racing these days, an O-chain can help for sure, but also having a bit of that, tightness to the pedal kickback helps you generate speed and helps you get in and out of corners, and it's the best of both worlds, where I felt like last year you have like 9 or 12 degrees kind of difference, but that over a run kind of adds up.
Yeah.
Like you're always just losing that little bit when you go to pedal. So yeah, I feel like it's also a preference thing. Some people do just run O-chain just all the time because it saves your legs a little bit, and it kind of has a certain feeling to it. But for myself, I've kind of learnt that not having it is faster for me, pretty much.
Okay, interesting. Let's come back to that 2024 season then. And obviously you and your wife were expecting a baby, which is handy that you get 9 months advance notice on things like that. Was it always part of the plan for you to take some time out of the season and go back for that? Like it's not something you can do every day of the week, right?
Yeah, I definitely can't have your first kid 2 times. So you can only have it once. But we were trying to plan, honestly, around the World Cup season, and making a kid is harder than some people think.
Exactly.
So it kind of got to a point after, over a year of trying and nothing happened. I just said, screw it. Let's just keep trying through when it would come in the season. And lo and behold, it does. And it comes right around World Champs and everything. So it's like, oh, great. But yeah, I would not change a thing. Obviously, I've got a beautiful baby girl at home, and she's all healthy, and Emma's healthy as well. So it's it's awesome. But yeah, missing World Champs and the World Cup after that was really tough. But I think I kind of came back and reinstated. That was the right thing to do with the win in Mont-Saint-Anne. And yeah, it was really hard sitting on the couch watching World Champs. But at the same time, I wouldn't change a thing.
So you watched the races from home then? You weren't fully stepping back in that way?
No. I was thinking I needed to step back at the start. But as a racer, you always want to know what's going on. And I was watching the runs and stuff, and I was like, oh, what if I was there? What if? But it was pretty interesting actually to be at home and watch and not be there, and kind of, I almost got almost fell in love with the sport again watching it, because I haven't watched a World Cup since 2010. I mean, I've been injured a little bit here and there, but you're pretty down when you're injured. Yeah. But I'm sitting at home with a brand new baby, like completely different scenario going on, watching a World Cup, thinking like, oh, I should be there. And just like the racing itself, I just was like, this is sick. And I just wanted to ride my bike so badly again. And I was like 50-50 whether I was actually going to go to Mont-Saint-Anne as well. And then kind of everything started to chill out at home and become a little bit easy with the new one. And yeah, got the all clear from the misso to go over. And I was like, well, I better make it worthwhile.
Definitely. And those first few weeks, like having been through it fairly recently too, like they're not the easiest weeks. And no. I imagine fitting in any training or any kind of stuff like that was pretty hard, and even just getting sleep is pretty challenging, right? Like what state were you in when you were packing bags to go to Mont-Saint-Anne? Yeah,
I mean, like, not to sugarcoat it at all, like, to be brutally honest, I trained super hard up until we had the kid. But because I knew that there was going to be a break. There was going to be days or weeks of no training, and had the kid, and from that I didn't really touch my bike at all for a month, or longer.
Yeah,
and then kind of got the all clear a couple of weeks before months and end, and did two weeks of a bit of gym and a bit of downhill, and showed up and gave it a crack.
Yeah. Did you feel any different turning up at Monsanto? Like, had that experience changed anything for you, whether it's the parenting element or whether it's the being away for a bit and watching it element? Like, how did you feel when you showed up?
Honestly, for me, the main thing was like, I was just excited to be, everyone was coming around and saying, congrats, being a father, and all, we're happy. And I was just excited to just be there riding my bike. Like, I had no pressure on my shoulders from trying to win, or, the overall at that stage was semi gone. I was in 6th place, and the points were tight, but I was like, like, I've missed a World Cup. It's going to be really tough and going to be hard to bring anything back. I just started riding, and just, obviously I love Monsanto, and I've done really good in the past there, but I just started like having fun and just taking dumb lines and trying to gap shit that I shouldn't. And next minute, I'm going really fast, and people started, coming around the pits and saying, Troy, like, Dad's been good to you. Like, you being a dad has been good to you. You're riding fast. And I was like, oh, really? Like, okay. And then it wasn't till qualifying when I got second, I was like, holy shit, like, I could do well here, like, start to focus, but and then I let it all hang out in semis, and then obviously all the rain and everything came on finals, and I think that's when my first full dad experience of being like, nothing really matters, nothing bothering me, because rain is nothing compared to no sleep. No sleep is hard.
For sure.
A crying baby in the middle of the night when you can't like figure out why or help him, that's hard. And a bit of rain, I was like, let's go, let's have some fun with this and just enjoy it. So it was I don't know, surreal experience. I wasn't expecting to do well. I thought maybe at Monsanto a podium would be a win, but to actually win was just, I don't know, everyone saw the emotions. It was crazy.
It was wild. So you're in the start gate, you're the last man to drop. Like, what is going through your head? Is there any like process or mindset differences from what you've done in the past, or are you just like big grin, happy to be here, let's go?
Honestly, I was trying not to cry. It was Aaron, my like mechanics last race together.
Peltari. Yeah.
So we'd been doing World Cup since 2015 together, every single one. He's also like my best mate back at home. We've done everything together since 2015 pretty much. And it was his last race, and I'd qualified semi-finaled first, and was last rider to drop. And normally I'd just say, like, thanks, like, give him knuckles, and I'm like, yep, let's go get it. Let's go F shit up, pretty much is what I say. But this time I was trying actually not to cry, and gave him a hug and looked him in the eyes, and I said, thanks for everything. And we're both so close to tearing up. And this was like a minute to go before my start. And then he just taps me on the bum and he just says, go have fun. And that's all it was. Normally it's like you've got this, like, convincing me like I do have this. He was just like, just go have fun. And then, I go and send it, pretty much. Send my life.
What do you remember from the run?
I remember thinking, don't crash in the first corner, because it was really dicey, like foggy, dicey. And then from there, I don't really remember anything until I like got through the rock garden. I was exiting the rock garden, and I went to go pump and pull off of this little rock ledge, and my legs just gave way. Like, I was at my limit of my physical capacity that weekend. Like, it was bad. Obviously, I had not done any training for a few months. That I just lost strength and lost breathing, lost everything. So I was on my absolute limit. Almost went over the bars, saved it. I was trying to tell myself to breathe and remember to breathe, and just held it onto the bottom. But I honestly thought at that moment I was ready to just keep tucking and just go to the ground. I was like, end it. I was like, end this run. Oh, my legs were done. My lungs were done. I was like, please just let me go. And then, yeah, obviously felt the roar going into the finish, crossed the line. I won. It was like amazing feeling. Everyone starts cranking over the barriers. And I hadn't really taken a breath yet because I'd just been screaming that I just won. And then next minute, Fabian's just come in for a massive bear hug and he squeezes so tight. I could not get any air in or out. I had my thumb in his throat to try and get him off of me so I could actually breathe. Like, no word of a lie. Like, I don't know if he remembers or not, but I was driving my thumb into his throat to try and get him off of me so I could actually take a breath. It was
amazing,
bad.
amazing. And then the emotion poured out, I guess, right, when it started to set in.
Yeah, exactly. Once it actually set in and so many riders came up and congratulated me. Like, obviously, it's crazy to think, you know, having a kid and missing races and then come back and just to win it. Everyone was super happy for me. Even Lockie being so close to the win, he was super disappointed that he missed out on the win, but he also was, you know, we chilled that night after the race and he, you know, said how happy he was for me to get the win. And if it was to be that he was going to get beaten that day, he was glad that it was that story. So it was pretty cool.
It was incredible, mate. Very, very cool to watch. How's the off season been then? Are you settling into parenting? Like, I guess the reality of that you had that short window of it, go away, win a race, fairy tale story, but then you're back to the real world again, I guess.
Yeah. Now it's hard. Like, now you've got, you know, to keep her entertained. That back then it was, you know, she was sleeping almost the whole day and it was pretty easy when it was easy. So now she's entertaining. She's almost starting to crawl. So I won't be able to just put her down anymore.
Wait, mate. It gets way more interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, and also obviously trying to give Emma back as much freedom and life as well. You know, it's crazy what mums go through and have to deal with, and us dads get it a little bit easy, to be honest. So yeah, especially with me going away, it's been really hard. But yeah, training's been limited. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm definitely not training as much as I did last year. It's just the reality of it. So I feel like now it's just when I do train, I kind of push it over the limit that what I should, and it's a very fine line now. Like, I'm obviously a bit congested right now and I'm sick, and I've been pushing hard with the training and trying to do what I can to make it worthwhile when I do, you know, get the time to go out. So that fine line of going over the edge with training or not enough I'm right on it. And right now I've tipped over it a touch and gotten sick. Obviously with the travel doesn't help, but yeah, these are just things that I'll have to I guess deal with this year and this season. But I still feel really good on my bike and feel like I can perform and win some races.
Yeah. Becoming a parent is like the single biggest thing that's made me feel the aging process. I think. Like, have you noticed anything on that front? Do you feel like anything's changed in the way your body responds to training and the way it recovers? Yeah,
I feel like there's a few aches and pains extra when I wake up out of bed, but no, I also just think time, like the time goes so quickly when you have a newborn. It just, you know, like everyone's like, oh, 1 minute you have a newborn and next minute they're 1 year old or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. But like, it's crazy. Like, you blink and they're growing up. Like, it's kind of scary when you think about it. I think it's the moment when you stop thinking about yourself so much and you think about something else, and it's just like you don't want that thing to change, you know, and as it's changing you're realizing it, and that's what is making the time go so quick. But yeah, it's pretty awesome being a parent. Like, when you get that, you know, you come home from a training ride or whatever, you've been gone for 2 or 3 hours and you get that smile from your little one, it's the best thing ever.
It's special. It's really special, man. Yeah. And you're one of the riders who has to travel the furthest for the racing, right? It's just a fact of it, I guess. And in the past, you've been away for big chunks of the year or maybe the whole season. Like, does that change? Will you approach the season differently? I mean, it's kind of hard, right, once it gets going, but are there ways for you to be able to get more time at home or to bring them over here for points? Or
yeah, I mean, it's, to be fair, the schedule in the season sucks. Like, I won't sugarcoat it. It sucks. It's really bad for for people that just don't live in Europe. Like even if you live in Europe, it's still pinned the whole time. So, you know, for me, I've got so much at home. I've got horses, dogs, like rabbits, you name it, and now a kid and obviously a wife. So it's hard to kind of bring everything away. So for me, it'll just be pretty much month stints. You know, I'll come over for 3 World Cups, go home for 1 week, come back over for 3, and then go home for the break and do it again for the second half of the year. So it's harsh and it's going to be rough for sure, but it's kind of the only way to keep my head and everything happy and healthy at home and me racing as good as I can. You know, I could obviously fitness wise staying overseas the whole time and enjoying the racing and being in Europe and riding bike parks and being on my bike every day is going to be best for my riding, but mentally I'm just going to be over it. You know, I want to go see my girls at home and enjoy spending time with them. So I think that showed massively with what I did at Mont Saint Anne, that I, you know, took that time at home to spend with them, had a clear head and came to a race and won.
Didn't do you any harm, did it?
No.
For sure. Yeah. And we lose protection this year, and you're a rider that I would assume has spent a lot of your career so far protected, right?
Yeah.
Does that change anything for you and your approach?
I mean, it's nerve-wracking for sure. Like it's scary. You know, if you had a bad quali, whether you just have a crash or you have a flat tire, then it could happen again in the last chance qualification, whatever it's called. So, it's going to be a little bit scary, but I think, you know, if you're one of the top boys, you know, say the top 5 of us, if we're on pace, then it shouldn't be a problem. But I would not doubt that someone's, you know, or multiple people this year won't be in a World Cup final that should be.
Yeah.
It's just going to be what it's going to be.
Do you think it's a good thing taking the protection out? Because I can kind of see both sides of it.
For sure. Like, you know, if I was going to be very like biased to myself, I would rather protection because I've been in there for so long. But I think for the sport, it's a great thing. It's what needs to happen, and it's going to level it off for everyone and make it more inviting for, you know, for the boys that are trying to break inside the top 30 to actually, you know, either do it or not. You know, I don't know whether it's going to make those boys ride faster because they have a bigger potential that there might be more mistakes, or it's going to make us top boys ride a bit slower to try and get through. You know, you don't know what's going to happen. But I think these days, like, whether you're protected or not, you ride every race run as fast as you can go. So it's just going to be limiting the mistakes. It'll be tough. It will be interesting. I'm actually really excited for a little bit of a change. And just, God, hope I don't get unlucky.
I think it feels like changes in good directions, right? Like I can imagine it's, like you say, nerve-wracking, a bit scary because it's different and you've not got that protection. But the LCQ kind of style format seems kind of good, and I don't think any riders are particularly sad to see the back of semis.
Yeah. I think this year's semis was better, having it on the qualifying day.
Yeah. And
then it just kind of kept all the focus for finals, you know, didn't have a race before and stuff. But yeah, I think this new format there'll be a lot of storytelling. Let's put it that way. I think it's going to give the media a lot to talk about.
That's good. That's my job. Yeah. So I'm down with that. So you've been in Wimrock, you've been getting kind of settings and everything dialed in, getting the bike ready to go. Like, do you think the bike stays like that for a lot of the season, or are there certain elements of the bike that will change? Like, what do you foresee that you might be moving around and changing as you go from event to event?
Yeah, I mean, we're always trying to develop the bike, get it as fast as possible. Here we brought some new things that we tried and tested. That we tried and tested and worked, and some didn't work, kind of thing. So I would say like the main base and everything won't change too much. It will just be like the little things with that kind of change track to track. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the suspension tunes that we do have can get better.
Yeah.
Everything can get better, but I think we can work with SRAM and RockShox and really progress that and get that into a little bit better zone. But yeah, realistically, I'm really happy with where I am and where the bike is, and pretty comfortable. And I kind of just want to go home now and just really ride. You know, just keep riding and just keep pumping laps and get that really consistent laps in, which will then allow me to really push the pace and kind of get that race speed going.
Nice. And the new bike's got adjustable BB height and adjustable progression. Is that something that is like a set and forget for you, or will it change from track to track?
Yeah, so those two settings for me now, I've tested them a lot because they were the first two settings that we got to test with this bike, and pretty much now they're set and forget. So yeah, I'm running it in the more progressive setting and also the higher bottom bracket.
Okay.
So the lower bottom bracket did feel really good on some tracks, but I was pretty much just hitting my chainring way too much.
Okay.
And yeah, if you get a bent chainring and it could destroy your run. So even in my race run yesterday, I chainringed a rock so hard, and I was thinking, oh, this could jam my stuff up right now, but luckily it didn't, and it held on to the finish. But it's also that ride height thing of being able to, kind of shift your bike from side to side and move it in those flatter corners, which the higher bottom bracket kind of leads to, which also then, this is where we could go down a massive rabbit hole. That also leads into the much longer rearward axle path. Once you run a lower bottom bracket, it just gets lower and lower and lower and lower.
Okay.
So the higher one, once you get deep, it kind of it feels in a better position when you start low already. Then once you get deep into something, your feet are on the ground.
Got you.
Yeah,
makes total sense. And you're into your 9th year with Canyon this year, I think.
Yeah, this will be my 9th year.
Yeah, so you started with them at Fort William, first season in 2017.
Yep.
And I think it's fair to say the pit setup back then was pretty basic.
Yeah.
I think I heard that they didn't even have like warm-up bikes and stuff ready for you at the first round.
Yeah, I mean, it was a brand new team, so we got to the first World Cup and we were like, oh, where's the trainers? And we all just had forgotten. Like just a simple forget the trainers, and it was a mad scramble to get trainers. We got them in the end, but I remember just going like, hey guys, like qualifying's today, we got trainers, and we just didn't have any. So I think we've come a long way since then.
The team setups evolved like a huge amount in those 9 years.
Yeah.
Like what elements of that evolution have been the most impactful for you, the most useful?
Yeah, I'd say, halfway through 2017, we got the big truck, the big trailer. That was pretty cool just for more the mechanics side. They get their own space, they get all the parts. It's not sprinter tents, blow up tents or whatever. It's a proper awning and all the just everything that comes with it, it just makes it a lot easier. The water tank for a bike wash, just little things that just all add up. But apart from that, it's obviously just all the other things with just fine tuning what works and what doesn't work, with Fabian, and then obviously Gabe that came in halfway through 2017 as well. Since then we've just been really refining this team, and right now we know what's going to help us to win a World Cup and what we don't really need. So it's pretty cool to have been on a team for so long. Feel like it's not even like you're part of the family. You're just like born into it now. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. And I feel like, we've been treating each other really well. And it's something that I'm proud to say that I've done 9 years here.
Yeah. And you've had Fabian Burrell by your side for 9 years. Like, how has that working relationship evolved as you've got to know each other more and more?
Yeah. I mean, when we first met, we were complete opposite. Like, he was very driven, bang on the mark, all these different numbers and analyzing absolutely everything on a track and the bike and everything. And I was just like pretty much an Australian kid that was laid back and didn't give a shit. So we took some time, accepting one another, I would say. There was never bad blood or anything, but it was just two different personalities coming together. But I guess, both being racers and doing pretty well, we were able to kind of come together and bring a bit from both sides. And now it's been, an amazing partnership that I feel like, he's helped me a massive amount of times, with some World Cup wins and what I've been able to do with my career being on Canyon. And I feel like I've helped him maybe to just chill out a little bit.
He's into the detail though, isn't he? That guy, he doesn't miss a trick.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing too big that will get past Fab without him having tried it previously.
But that's super helpful, right? You've got this guy that's still pretty well on pace, I think is fair to say, that can go away on the same bike that you guys ride and put laps on and learn and come and share that stuff with you guys, right? It might not necessarily translate perfectly to you, but that's got to be a help.
Yeah, for sure. Like we bring it back just to doing testing, before this race here at Windrock with Shram, and he was testing a whole bunch of stuff on his bike every different lap, and we'd go do a test lap and there would be myself, like Luca, myself, Henry and Fab following, and you get to the bottom and he's still there. We ain't riding slow, like he's still there and he gets excited when he knows he's riding good. So, I mean, it's, you got to think of, Sam Hill coming and doing Rebel Hardline and stuff here. They can still ride a bike, that's for sure. And Fab is keeping fit, keeping strong, and he could he's definitely still ride a bike, but I think he also needs to get some insurance because he's pretty loose.
Good stuff. And like you say, one big personnel change for you this year, and that's Aaron Peltari, your longtime mechanic, and also, I guess these days, like best mate, right?
Yeah.
Stepping away. That's a big deal. It must be quite significant to try and work out how you navigate that and find someone to step into his place.
Yeah, for sure. It was always going to be hard. I never knew if he was going to, be my mechanic as long as I was going to be racing, or if I was going to quit racing and he keeps being mechanic. You just never know which way it's going to go. But things change, and he wanted to, be home more and change it up a little bit and not travel as much. And he's obviously got a young daughter at home as well. So it's tough, and obviously not being the racer would be, probably even harder. Being a mechanic, you're part of the wins, you're part of everything, but realistically it's a little bit different. It would be for sure pretty tough to be away from home for so long. But it was tough. We kind of knew, we've obviously talked about it massively beforehand as well. We kind of knew that it was going that way, and when he kind of let me know and stuff, it was hard to do that last race in Mont-Saint-Anne, but at the same time it was awesome, and to get the motivation from it, and to kind of give him a win on his last race.
It's like the perfect ending,
fairy tale ending for sure. But it's been a change for sure, not having him around. And obviously, like, we would travel from Australia to the US, to Europe, and always be traveling together. So now it's even, not having a travel buddy on those long haul flights to talk to and to go get Macca's at Dubai airport. But I think he's in a really good spot now with what he's doing at home, and he's happy, and I still see him heaps and go for rides and hang out and stuff at home. So it's it's just a different path now, and it's pretty cool to I guess, in him leaving, it's opened me up to having a new mechanic and building a new relationship with obviously Nathan now that I have for this year, and we've flown him out to Australia twice now already this year to come do some races, and so we can learn from each other and just work together. And obviously we're now here in Windrock doing some more testing and done this race, and it's going really well. We're both pretty chill and pretty easygoing, and we both talk English, so it's pretty helpful.
Good. And so we're excited for 2025 then? It seems to be a pretty good start so far.
Yeah, no, I am excited for sure. I think There's lots of races. There'll be some good racing, and I feel pretty good on the bike and pretty ready to go. Just a bit more fitness I think I need, and obviously to build some pace. But so far so good. Every race that I've done this year, I've landed on the podium. So
yeah, and there's obviously overalls and world champs to chase as always, and wins along with all of that.
Yeah,
it feels like all of those things are getting harder to achieve though. Does that sound fair?
Oh yeah, for sure. Obviously I'm not getting any younger, and there's more fast kids coming into elite men. So it's definitely getting harder. The field is getting deeper. Every rider is starting to extract more and more pace out of themselves, the bike and the team. So yeah, it's becoming tough, but I think you just got to keep pushing and keep going and keep trying to find the limit each year. And I just keep thinking about how many years Greg went fast for, and just thought, well, if he can do it, hopefully I can try and do it as well.
Good stuff, man. Yeah. Well, it's been super fun catching up and hanging out a little bit over the last few days.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you taking some time, despite having the sniffles pretty badly, to come and have a chat. If people want to follow you throughout the year, where should they be looking?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Instagram is pretty easy, and then obviously YouTube, we'll try and keep that up.
Can carry on with that? Yeah.
Everyone loves the YouTube as much as it's quite hard at a World Cup to focus and do YouTube. I think it's a good insight and a little bit behind the scenes on what goes on. So
yeah,
we'll try and keep that going. It might be a little bit less than last year, but yeah, we'll try and keep that going up to date, and hopefully on the results sheet as well. Nice.
Are you doing all the YouTube stuff yourself?
So yeah, in Australia and at home, I do pretty much everything and a bit of editing, and I kind of enjoy it a little bit. It is pretty fun. But at the World Cups, I push everything onto Mono.
Okay.
I let him do it all and I just pretty much press the go button on the GoPro and then just focus on racing.
Good stuff, mate. Well, we'll stick links to your Instagram and your YouTube in the show notes. People can find that. But yeah, thanks for taking time, and all the best for an awesome 2025.
Easy. Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.